Welcome to In Other
Hey,
Words. I'm Evan Fuchs, and I'm here with my friends Jody O'Brien and Lee York. And on behalf of our friend Brent Lancaster, who is out on assignment this week, ladies, how are
hey.
we?
We'll have to pick up the slack for him.
Oh, I got faith in both of you. I got the hard firing questions today.
Uh-oh.
How are you, Lee?
Oh.
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. Good. Our word this week is coach.
Yes.
So as you know, we have so many opinions that we try to, corral them by putting a word around each show so that we don't go too far adrift. And our word for the week is coach. So as we like to do, maybe both of y'all, I'm going to use my Southern y'all. Maybe both of y'all can tell me what the word coach means to you. So let's start with Jody.
I don't know if I can respond to y'all, but I'll try. I'm going to get tough here this week with the word coach, because
Okay.
I think it is an incredibly important word, because I think it is leadership in its ultimate form, and it is really helping people to take action outside of their comfort zone. And what I want to get tough in is that I think anyone who says they're a leader, a broker, an owner, a manager, a team leader, whatever, they have to adopt this concept, I think, for the success of whatever they are leading, their office, their company, their team, etc. So I think we need to get tough with this word.
Okay, so what does it mean to well, wait, let me come back to you. Let's
Okay.
have Lee, let's hear her definition, and then I'm coming back at you, Jody.
Okay.
Yeah. So recognizing that I'm the one who put this word forth, I realized that we didn't decide if we were going to be talking about the verb or the noun. Right. So
We usually go with verb.
so I'm thinking like to coach, and I'm with Jody, or whatever her name is. I think that
Thanks.
I think that anyone who's leading should be coaching. And I think that in our, if I narrow it down to our industry, talking about real estate agents and brokers, then I even would maybe, add a descriptor to it and say performance coach, right? Because when we're coaching, the idea is to help that person be their best selves, right? And we're most of us as coaches look at a more well-rounded, it's not just about sales, it's helping them be a more well-rounded, their best self.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I think a coach does.
Okay, let me get out of the way real quick that none of us are here to like sell coaching. That just happens to be our word is the verb coach,
Thank you.
right?
Good point. Yeah.
Sorry.
So you said, Lee, to help people become their best selves. Is that the primary role of a coach? Is it your job to help me figure out what my best self is? Is it to motivate me? Is it to lead me? Is it to guide me? Like, tell me more.
I think it depends completely on you and what you've hired me for. I mean, there are different coaches for different things. And so it depends on what you hire me for. But yes, a coach can do all of those things.
Okay, so, and while we're talking, if anybody's watching along, I'd love to hear your definition of what it means to coach. Jody, can you drill down a little bit on the difference between coaching and maybe another word you might use, managing, leading, guiding?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest differences, and it's why I said I was going to get tough, because I think because it is so different, it is also more difficult for someone to do. And that is to take someone and help them to action beyond their comfort level. So I've got to coach you, and I'll use an old-fashioned example because it works so well. And it's one that we don't typically do anymore. But so
Okay.
Evan, I'm going to coach you, and you're going to pick up the phone every morning, and you're going to, as we used to call it, dial for dollars. You're going to cold call for an hour.
Okay, I got you.
And what we all know is that is beyond almost everyone's comfort zone to accomplish that task. So my job to coach you is to have you put that action and plan by convincing you of what it does for you, what it eventually leads to, the production of business, to go beyond your comfort zone. And I think very few of us find our positions of sales or customer service or whatever you want to call us as within your comfort zone. I think those who exceed their comfort zone. And that's the difference between coaching and managing, or, you know, or leading, or any of those other things.
Okay, so what I've got so far is help us become our best selves, go beyond our comfort zone. So we're all speakers and instructors. What's the difference between me like standing on a stage and telling you what you should do versus coaching you to become your best self? Like, what are some of the different, how does that separate?
Well, I would say were you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're standing on a stage and you're speaking to, you know, some kind of group of people, usually you're talking about a system, some tools, some skills that should work for everyone. But when you're coaching, it's much more individualized, and you may be using the same systems, tools, and skills, but you're helping that person to see and learn and experience how those things will work best for them.
Okay, so can you start to tell me how? Like, what? Maybe coach me here. Maybe Jody, you want to maybe coach me on how I could be doing a better job in leading this conversation?
So I think I already did a good job. I got you picking up the phone right away.
That's right. Yeah, but now what I'm scared, I hung it up because I don't want to make the call.
And I think it was interesting because kind of shout out to some of the people watching here, but Keith said, where is it going with this? So I just want to repeat, in case he missed it, or anyone joining us now missed what Evan said earlier. None of us are looking to coach you or anyone at this point in time. Coach is just our word of the day that we're going through. So just want to go through that. But I think if you're talking ultimately where coaching leads, it leads to that individual success. So what I want you to do is I want you to get off of this platform today and feel like you did the best job as the MC to this web show that you could have done.
Okay.
So I think coaching you involves building your confidence. I think it involves building your skills. So test running through some questions. I think it involves building your presence. So how do you look? How do you stand? How do you speak would be some of the things that have been involved with it. So those are aspects that I would utilize to coach you to be the best sort of MC to a web show as possible. And again, in some of those cases, I may push you, I may tell you to wear a shirt and tie and you don't want to. I may tell you, to not say you all. See how that keeps coming back.
You guys, stop it.
But walk me through it, because here's what I want to get, and I'm just going to keep pushing on this, because what I want to get off with this call is something practical that I can use in the realm of coaching, like sell me on coaching and kind of a little bit on how it differs from something else. So I come to you and I say, hey, in the next 20 minutes, I want to be able to make sure that we convey these takeaways to the people that are watching. So Lee, can you coach me toward, like, what should I do? Don't tell me, but kind of coach me toward that outcome. How would you do that?
Okay, so Evan, first of all, who do you think is watching? Describe to me the average
Hi, Mom. No.
Thank God.
Well, I think we have, like, realtors, maybe people in the real estate industry, like staff and that sort of stuff with the real estate industry. And then some of our friends and people who are like going stir crazy maybe with the stay-at-home stuff, but mostly people like us who are realtors are probably our audience.
So agents and brokers, right?
There you go. Agents and brokers. Yeah.
Okay. So we know what's in this for us. We sit around and talk and have a great time. But what's in it for them? What do they get by sitting and listening to us?
Well, I would hope that they're able to, like, write some things down that they can actually take action on. So when they move on, they go, oh, you know what? I can use that in my business to become better.
Great, great. So what's something that you would tell them that would do that for them?
What, relative to coaching or just anything?
Just relative to, what is something you could share with them today that would help them make money?
Man, you're good at this, Lee. Like you got me where I need to be, and now you're turning the table on me with questions, and I think that's great. So I would say anybody watching, asking about coaching, that questioning is a huge part of it. I was at the John Maxwell training thing in Orlando a few years ago, their leadership certification, and there's thousands of people in the room, and there's one guy on stage coaching like 2,500, 3,500, something like that of us, and he paired us up. And he had each of us try to coach the other person to become a better juggler. So one of us in the group would juggle, and the other person watched, and everybody was terrible except people who already knew how to juggle. And then he said, okay, try again, but this time coach them. And all we did in most of our pairs was, because we knew we were kind of primed for this, is we would ask, how did you think you did? What did you think when you dropped it there? Why do you think you dropped it? What do you think you could do differently? And it was this whole path of helping them discover without telling them a thing. And almost everybody became better jugglers in that one, 90-second drill. So I think what you just demonstrated or modeled about questioning is a key.
Well, thank you, but you never answered my question. Give us the takeaway.
Oh, I thought I did, is that they should be have somebody that asks them questions, that doesn't tell them what to do, or they may spend time on skill building, but they help them identify where they want to go and help them discover what their strengths are and how they can use those strengths to get there.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent.
Well done,
Lee. And Evan, I'm going to pick up exactly on a phrase that you just said that I think is really a huge key phrase, which you said, have them identify. So when I say push them beyond their comfort zone and they identify their comfort zone, bam.
All right.
You know?
So that reminds me of another story involving questioning. The first time I hired actually a coach, one of the first thing he did was he asked me what I wanted to accomplish. And I tried to tell him, and he said, here's what I want you to do. Blank will be able to blank in order to blank. He said, you fill that in 5 different times, and next time we meet, you're going to tell me blank, who will be able to do what in order to why. And it was like, suddenly, instead of just like blabbering all over the place, I had to narrow my focus and identify where I wanted to go. And then he was able to help me with that. So
repeat it one more time. Blank what?
Blank will be able to blank in order to blank. So Evan will be able to effectively host a web show in order to provide takeaways for his audience to make them better realtors, something like that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're already almost halfway through our time.
Okay.
So I want to throw something else out, and you'll both, I know, have good answers to this. But as agents, I think that when we're doing our best for our clients, we're coaching them. I think we coach our buyers and sellers on a daily basis. So, Jody, can you give us an example of that?
I was just my mind actually went to the reverse. So if you don't mind, if I'm going to give you the opposite or a really bad example is, I would not buy this house. It's overpriced. It's in bad condition and the neighborhood stinks. Right. That's telling your clients what to do, not coaching them what to do. And I think the other thing is the coaching where your client starts with, again, that great questioning, that consultation appointment that sits down and says, what do you want? Where do you want it? Why do you want that? Et cetera. And so you could say, now when I show you that house, I can say, well, Lee, I have your checklist here and this matches several of your must-haves, a couple of your would like to have, but it does have some of your don't want to haves as well on here. So How would you rank this? How would you evaluate this? Do you have interest in it? That's me coaching you, and it's me using that information that you gave me. So that's a great example too, where the system doesn't change much from how you and Evan portrayed it, with questioning, finding out, identifying what they want, and utilizing it with a buyer. So, wow, if you were a great coach, you might not only be a better, more productive agent, but a simply better agent as well.
Well, I think that's why, like when we develop intake sheets and questions to ask buyers and sellers, we focus so much on open-ended questions, right? Asking them questions that they can't use a yes or no to answer. They have to actually kind of tell their story. So you frame questions that way, and then listen what they have to say and ask follow-up questions. And that's also, it's a good, the client should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making decisions, right? So when they're discovering the drivers and making their own decisions, the roles are balanced the way that they should be. Do you use Lee? What do you do in terms of like those sort of questions with buyers and sellers? Is that how you start out your working with your clients with questions, or what does your process look like?
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions, and I tell them, I make it a point to set expectations up front. This is what I'll do for you. This is what I'm willing to do for you. This is when you can reach me. This is how it works. But I always, does that work for you? Or, I get their buy-in. So, but yeah, I ask a lot of questions, and then I do just exactly what Jody said. When they start getting, and I'm in residential sales, so emotional is a word that we use every day. So when they start getting emotional, I take them back to the business part of it, and I start asking questions on the criteria they've already given me. I mean, just exactly like what Jody was saying.
All right. And meanwhile, anybody who's watching still, I'd love to hear maybe qualities or traits of a good coach in any capacity. We're focusing really on questions right now. What about the idea of accountability? You have a great coaching session with somebody, they're all fired up and I'm going to go take on the world and here's my plan, and they go out the door and then, crickets and nothing. How important is accountability when it comes to being a coach or being coached?
Huge, I think.
Okay.
I concur.
Yeah.
So help me, how do you add that element into coaching? How do you add the accountability, which is me doing what you just helped me discover I think I need to do or want to do, right?
I think it's taking that information that you gathered and you related back to your experience. My experience in my coaching, being the one coach, that questioning period was every 6 months, 4 hours, right? Okay. 4 hours of what we call the deep dive into that questioning. Then you need to take that information and you need to translate it to measurable items. Okay. Those measurable items have to be agreed upon, and then your accountability is right there in your whether you do it in a spreadsheet, a little fill in the form, or you're just counting off the top of your memory. Not a good idea, I don't think, but it has to be measurable. That's what you have to hold the accountability to. And I think one of the aspects that helps with that is that there has to be something invested by the person being coached. Now, that doesn't always have to be money. It can be other items as well. But I have to have something to lose as well to be held accountable.
Like if I do what I just said I'm going to do, when we meet next time, you're going to give me a cookie or something like that.
If you're a mouse, is that the book? Give a mouse a cookie. Isn't that the name of the book?
You're right.
No.
Have either of you read the book, The Coaching Habit?
Yes, love it.
Yeah, and I don't remember them all. It's Michael Bungay. Stanier, yeah. The Coaching Habit. And he has these questions. I know one of them is like the discovery question or something he calls it, where it's just simply, hey, what's on your mind, right? To get you talking. And then the next question to dig deeper is, and what else? So the idea is just just like the open-ended questioning, getting someone to start talking, and then, they're done. You say, what else? And now I have to think about it some more. Well, I'd really like to be able to, produce $1 million, or, whatever my goal, I go to Hawaii, whatever my goals might be. And then I remember the third one is, what's your biggest challenge? And there's like 7 questions. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but suddenly with those 3 questions, I've kind of done a brain dump. And now you're helping me figure out, well, what stands in my way of doing that thing that I want to do? And that's really like a repeatable process. And you could do the same thing with clients. Like, what are you looking for in a house, or what are you trying to accomplish with your real estate investment? Well, I'd really like to have a nice big yard. Okay. And what else? Right. And they get it all off. And, you could structure it that way too, right?
I think isn't his point too, Evan, that the first answer that is more likely to be the one they believe that you want to hear,
right?
And what else is the real truth?
That's right.
What I want.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Lee?
Well, I was going to say that I've just lost my train of thought. It's about asking those questions and then following up with them. I mean, your follow-up has to do with their accountability, right? So my client, I say, why do you want to, what are your goals with this sale? Okay. And they tell me, and I'm taking notes and I keep track of it. And I probably have a conversation with them about confirming that they can do what they want to do. Like if they want to buy a different property, can they qualify for a loan, right? Because everybody thinks they can, and then they're homeless, right? So let's make sure that you can qualify for a loan under terms that you want. So this week, you're going to talk to the lender and find all that out. And they go, oh, yeah. And I write it down. And then in the middle of the week, I send them an email and say, hey, when we talked, you were going to be doing these things, blah, blah, blah. How are we doing? Can I help with anything?
So that's your accountability.
That's accountability.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I would do the same thing if I were coaching an agent, right? Or coaching you. You're probably going to be hosting again. What would you do to prepare to do that, to host again?
Well, you made me think of something that I think is really appropriate is, most coaches, they want to coach people who are coachable, right? Like not just take anybody. And just like, you want to, qualify your clients and, not just.
He's not coachable.
What's that?
You're saying you're not coachable?
Well, no. What I mean is, it's important. It's a reciprocal relationship. It's not just one person like keep trying to make the other person be their best and they're not contributing. You want it to be a partnership, and I think we see that in real estate sales where sometimes the agent wants it more than the client, and that's when they get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right.
But, one thing I say to agents all the time when they ask me about coaching is there has to be a great match between the two of you, and you won't sync with every single person. So because and I'll use the example I used earlier on the cold calling, because you are not going to cold call does not mean you're not coachable. It just means that your method and my method aren't in sync. And so you go out and you find Lee, and Lee tells you, go prospect by starting a blog and a YouTube station, use social media. And you're like, oh, I can do that, right? And now you're a better match to that person, So sometimes it's a synchronization between the coach and the person being coached as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So I have a question, if I can.
Yeah, of course.
What do y'all think if you were looking for a coach? What questions and I know there's a lot of questions, but maybe just the 2 most important questions that you would ask when you were interviewing a coach.
What would I ask a coach before I hired them or worked with them? Oh, I know for sure.
How much do you charge, right? But what else?
My number 1 question would be, can I talk to some of the people that you've coached to find out how it's worked for them? That would be my most important question.
I was actually more interested in who those people were So were they coaching people like myself? And by myself, I meant not only the same profession, but the same desires. I even found my coach whose clientele was almost demographically like myself as well, which made it a really interesting match as well. So I want to know who those people are, not just speaking to them.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, that's in professional coaching, but a lot of what we're talking about here is just, again, the verb, right? The act of coaching versus telling or guiding or leading someone. It might be a component. So, we've been watching during lockdown. We started watching, and Lee, you'll probably like this, the series Friday Night Lights. And Coach Taylor, and she's just such a great character. But he was saying something to one of his players in the show we were watching last night. He was trying to explain to him about character, and he was saying, you need to strive to be the best person you can be. And the guy kind of breaks down and says, I'm not better than everyone. And he says, I didn't tell you to be better than everyone. I told you to strive to be better. And I thought that was such a great example of coaching, where it's like, he didn't tell him what to do, how to do it, or anything. It's just like, you got to keep setting the bar for yourself higher, whatever that means,
Right. And you'll be interested. So I know exactly what Friday Night Lights is, but I have never seen an episode or the movie.
Okay. Well, I brought it up because obviously Lee's from Texas, and it's about a Texas high school football team. And it's
Yeah.
like, what am I watching it on?
Well, honestly, I figured if I watched it, it would just be like reliving high school. So it just
Oh, it's
didn't
great.
interest me at all.
It's great. It's great. I gotta coach you in your TV lineup. It sounds like maybe.
Okay, I'm like in billions.
Yeah. That just started again too. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna close out. So maybe you want to like give me some parting wisdom, something I can do once we hang up to apply coaching to my life somehow without going out and hiring somebody. What should I be doing in my world to be more of a coach? Jody.
Lacking anyone else to coach you, so that may be the situation that someone comes to. But I think these things may apply in the same respects to becoming a good coach, and that is learning how to delve into your desires through those series of questions. And you mentioned the coaching habit. There's lots of books. There's lots of real estate specific books as well out there that help you decide what it is I want, and then going out and prioritizing and seeking those things and holding yourself accountable on a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly basis for your goals. And then the last thing I would say is anything's achievable. Anything's achievable. So don't start your coaching career by censoring yourself.
Oh, that's great advice. I kind of feel like I can accomplish more just by hearing you say that. Okay, Lee. Oh, Lee. Hey, before you go, let me mention what we've got coming up next week. We've got some good guests coming up. Next week we have Jason Marquis from Florida.
Hey, Jason.
The week after that, we've got John Mayfield. He's out of Missouri. He's been a lot of people know him as an instructor for many years. Really excited to talk with him. We've got from my home turf in Arizona the following week on the 3rd of June, Holly Mabry. And then the week after that on the 10th, we have John Smaby from Minnesota, the Pasadena resident. So we've got 4 weeks lined up of solid, cool guests on a variety of topics. So after that plug, Lee, tell me about coaching. Wrap it up.
I think something that agents and brokers could do, you said without hiring someone.
Yeah.
And I think, look, and bear with me, look around your marketplace, right? You don't have to go to another market. Look around your marketplace at other agents or brokers that you admire, that you think do well. I mean, get out of your comfort zone, call them and ask them if they would be willing to meet for coffee or donuts, and have a conversation with them. Go a step further maybe and make, a little mastermind group. I would say years ago in our market as an agent, we had a mastermind group that was top producers. There were 10 of us that kind of came and went. We never had anybody from the same company. And I mean, we all made each other better. So reach out to somebody.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I know, I'm a big fan of the mastermind style too. And that's really just a bunch of people doing for each other what a coach would do for somebody, right? Asking them questions, holding them accountable, pumping them up, helping them strive to be the best they can be, all that stuff. Well, super. So, hey, that book that we mentioned, The Coaching Habit, it's by Michael Bungay Stanier. I looked it up, and it's really an easy read. And if you want to, find out a little bit about how can you change your approach toward coaching, I think that's a great place to start. But it sounds like we're talking about asking questions, helping people discover versus telling them what to do, getting people out of their comfort zone, holding people accountable. Like Jody, you did make us believe that we can go further than maybe we did without talking to you. And this can be applied, brokers to your agents, agents to your clients, friends, family. Well done, ladies. It's 12:30 on the dot. We're going to close it out in 30 minutes. It was wonderful to see you. Brent, we missed you. We'll catch you next week when we're back with Jason on the 20th.
Don't forget to like the Facebook group or follow us on YouTube so you can find the recordings of everything you might have missed.
Oh, yes. And one more plug. Well done, Jody. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Have a good one.